Hi everybody, it's Benjamin Krudwig and I am here for another Friday video, and I decided that I think I'm going to call these videos that are more short and sweet. Hopefully this one will be pretty short. The last one took about half an hour or so to watch. So I would like to call these Seeds of Creativity, and I just think that these are a great way, like little nuggets for us to explore different aspects and facets of creativity and different, this whole thing is also surrounding the Creative Arts Challenge. So it also surrounds those prompts. Now, this last week, so Friday, the prompt was identity. So many of us creative type people struggle with this topic. I think all of us are struggling to find our own artistic identity or our creative identity, what makes us different from other people. I also realized as I was thinking about this prompt after I had already given it to everybody, thinking, oh, what a great way that people can introduce themselves in this challenge. I opened up a whole can of worms I wasn't really expecting to open up, even for myself. I wasn't really expecting this. So I found myself really thinking and delving into my soul about what identity meant to me. I was expecting to do a self-portrait, or maybe somebody else would do a self-portrait for this challenge, and no self-portraits. That didn't happen. So I waffled around, what does identity mean? Is it the roles I play, the jobs I've had? What have I done in life? What are those things that we think define us as people? I wrestled with these thoughts and I began thinking about what art I wanted to create for this prompt. And again, so I thought about doing a self-portrait. I started editing an image that I thought, oh yeah, this would be really cool. This is how I see myself. And at the end of the day, it just ended up being, none of the things were right. And so then I found an image that I created for one of my early portfolios in my photography school days. And it was right. That was the right thing for me to do. And I'll share the image at the end of the video because I wanted to delve into the topic of identity more, because for me, it provoked a lot more than I was expecting in myself. I didn't realize how I was going to react to my own challenge. So I hope all of you had a positive experience with this like I did. I wasn't ready for my own transformation for this. After I worked on this prompt for a couple of days, I came back to a mission statement that I wrote, I think about 4 years ago, which is, I am committed to synthesizing beauty by beaming a light of creativity in the world. And when I remembered this, I felt such a great sense of happiness, and there was a core to me that felt really good. I really liked hearing myself say it out loud again. And I realized that that is so me, that mission statement is me to my core. Even though I wrote that a few years ago, it's something that I realized, rings true now more than ever than it did before. And it's something that, even though I didn't know it at the time, when I was a child and when I was in my adolescence, it would have fit then. It's the kind of unalienable truth in my soul, in my body, that I believe in creativity, I believe in art, I believe in its purpose in this world. So that's my identity. My identity is that mission statement. It's my relationship with creativity, with art, with all of that. So for me, it's not what you do. It's not the roles that you play, whether that's, husband, wife, father, daughter, mother, son, whatever it might be. That doesn't define who you are, your identity. It's who you are at your core. It's those values, a lot of self-help would say it's a core value, right? What are your core values? The things that are unalienable truths that you believe full-heartedly with your entire soul and your being, that haven't changed. And I would say that when I've done those exercises in the past, if you ask me when I was 10, 15, 20, now 30, they would all still ring true. The things that I hold core to myself and to my heart are still true. Now, your roles in life might change over time. And so finding those core values that don't change with the role that you play in life, I feel like that's what your identity is. That running thread that connects you from when you were young to wherever you are now in life, whether it's like 60, 90, maybe wherever you are, like whatever your situation is, whatever has might changed. Now, identity is something, again, that I think a lot of creative people struggle with. I think in general, that's something that everybody struggles with, identity. I still struggle with it every single day. I've faced lots of different challenges, things that have made me really question everything, but for me, like, I realized in these times of struggle and these times of intensity and, whatever it might be, at the core of it, when I really think about what I am or who I am as an artist, I am a creative human being. I am a creative entity in the world, and I can't stifle that. I can't stifle the fact that I am going to do everything that it takes to put more beauty out in the world. That's just who I am. I think a lot of us over time, like I did, I cast aside my identity because I thought that there were other things expected of me. There were roles that I needed to play, that I needed to fill in order to survive, to live. And, I didn't feel like I was worthy to have my own identity outside of these roles that I was playing. I've, spoken with a lot of people over time, and I've heard them say similar things, that they felt like they weren't worthy enough to really be their own person, to have their own identity. I definitely felt that. I pushed aside my identity in order to fulfill roles that I shouldn't necessarily have had to do. And for me, this, again, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but I started to feel bad and depressed and had some very, very dark times because I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't living what I needed to live. I had all these expectations that I either thought were put on me or I put on myself. And by not living my truth, by not being congruent with what my core values were and what my mission statement was, I fell into a dark place, because that's what happens when we aren't living our truths. Now, once I started to feel more worthy, and that's, again, something that I still work on every single day. It's not something that comes naturally to me. It's not something that I find easy. It's not something that, I'm trying to walk the walk and talk the talk, because I don't always. But this is one of those things that I really, 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 really work on. Now, for me, once I started feeling worthy again, I felt this spark. There was a little bit of a spark in my heart, in my soul, and I realized it's that artist being, that artist self, that person that I know who I am at my core. It was never gone, just got buried a little bit. It needed someone to fan the flames, and that's me. Like, I have to fan the flames of my own spark, of my own creative spark, of my own identity. Now, we're not all artists. Not all of us have that as our core self. You might have your own core value that isn't artistry, which isn't creativity or something, but that's okay. I think we can all learn how to live our truths and live our identity. Now, what I want to tell you, and I don't know who needs to hear this, is that you are worth it. You are worth figuring this out. You are worth living your truth. You are worth figuring out what matters to you and what matters at your core. We are all worth it. All of these human beings, we are worth it. And, I needed a friend to tell me that, a couple of nights ago. I needed somebody to tell me that and remind me that I am worth it, that I am something, and I think that sometimes you just need somebody else to tell you. that you're worth it. So this is me telling you right now that you're worth it. You are worth figuring this out for yourself. And maybe you feel stuck that you don't know how to figure this out. I understand. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to figure out, and it's one of those topics that requires a lot of self-reflection, a lot of inward thinking. And again, I think I mentioned this in the last video, but we're in a perfect time, if you have the privilege to have this time stuck at home, to think about this. Even if it's for 15 minutes, if you do work, like take 15 minutes in the mornings or the nights, whatever really speaks to you and works for you. Take this time to really think about a few topics. It took me, I had to think, I had to stop, I had to be quiet, I had to listen. I had to have a certain level of awareness that I didn't have before, because I was keeping myself busy with all those tasks that had, that my roles gave me as a person. I kept myself busy with those tasks, and I realized that wasn't necessarily good for me as a whole. So what helped me figure this out? It was stopping and listening to myself. It was just being quiet. It's journaling. It's making art. It's chatting with family and friends and being intimate with them and being honest and bare with them. And that'll help you start to figure things out. Start checking your gut reactions. What certain things, what topics, what actions, inactions hit you in the gut, positive or negative. That'll tell you a little bit more about who you are as a person and your identity deep down. What makes you get up in the morning and excited to start your day? What is it, that thing? And coffee makes me excited to get up in the morning, but that's not my truth. It's being creative and waking up realizing I get to do what I love. All right, that's gonna get my butt out of bed. And I know that some days it's harder to get out of bed than others, and some days I don't always feel motivated, but the days I know I have a project that I'm really excited about, I'm up and out of bed right away in the morning. Think about what's the happiest moment that you've had in your life so far. I know there's a lot of life left to live, but what's the happiest moment in your life so far? When and where do you find yourself smiling the most? Like, is it at a library? Is it an art gallery? Is it at work? Is it when you're working on a puzzle or when you're writing? It could be anything. What is it? Like, when and where do you find yourself smiling the absolute most? And this one is an interesting one, but what part of yourself would you be absolutely devastated to lose? What is it that you hold dear to yourself? What thoughts that you hold dear to yourself about yourself would you be devastated to lose or have somebody else misinterpret? And I think that's something that is important to think about too. What is it that you'd feel awful if it was lost? Again, I still struggle with the idea even just of identity every single day. And I think it's not something that's solid. It's not something that we figure out and then we're done figuring it out. It's something that we work on over and over and over again daily. It's a practice. It's an absolute practice to just figure out what is it that makes us who we are, and really working on living that every single day. So, I find when I'm having those rough days, I recite my mission statement. I do that every day, at least once, in the morning, and when I'm working, before I start a project, I recite my mission statement. And I can do a video on, maybe it'll be the next video, I'll do one on how to write a mission statement or a vision, and we can talk about that in the next video, but I recite it to myself, especially on the days that I'm not happy or that I'm not feeling super motivated or excited. I recite that and then I feel so good. And I feel like, okay, there's some balance in the world. There's something right in the world. Now, I don't know if identity meant the same thing to you as it did to me, but I think it's something that is a very interesting topic. So please let me know in the comments what identity means to you, how you've explored it over time, what things have helped you, and maybe some things that you've struggled with. We can have a little bit of a conversation to really understand it, to try and get a little bit deeper with it. Now, as I promised, here are a couple of the submissions that came through this week for the first weekly Benjamin Krudwig Creative Arts Challenge. And again, the prompt this week was identity. And the first one is by me. It's a photograph that I took back in college for my art degree. And it is of a skull staring into a mirror. And I find it's very, very good for identity because here it is, like bare, absolutely nothing covering it. It's black and white, and it's staring into the mirror. So I hope you like that one. I'll pop it in as I'm speaking here. And the second one is by Vicky from Harmony House Art Studio, and it is a box. So it's a mixed media art box, and I'll pop that up here too. And you can check out her Facebook page to get her caption on what identity is to her. So please let me know. And again, feel free to keep sharing and doing these prompts as we go throughout the year. So if you want to do identity this week, feel free. The prompt for this week, however, is a little bit less deep. It's monochromatic. So the challenge this week is to create something, make something, perform something, whatever it is to you, using the prompt monochromatic. So use the hashtag BKCA Challenge 2020 in your posts on Instagram and on Facebook. And don't forget to tag my posts Benjamin_Krudwig on Instagram, and on Facebook it's Benjamin Krudwig Creative Arts. I really, really hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you like it, please hit the like on this video right here, this one, and please subscribe if you want to get notified that I have a video up. Hit the bell icon, and I will see you next Friday for another Seed of Creativity.